It's Formula E race week once again. Round 3 is already here of Season 5 of Formula E. This time we're in Chile, in Santiago. We've already had Saudi Arabia, round 1 of the season, and then last time out was Marrakesh, where we saw a crazy race which continued just to throw in completely random variables into the championship. The BMWs made contact, Verne made a crazy move into turn 1, both HWA Mercedes cars crashed each other out into turn 1 as well. Attack mode seemed to work really well in that second race of the season, but in the first race in Saudi Arabia, that was all a bit of a mess. So currently, going into this third race of the season, there are so many unknowns in Formula E, it's really starting to feel like a Formula E season once again. However, throughout the carnage of the first 2 rounds, there seems to be, I would say, 2 clear-cut front-running teams, but then straight after that, I feel the grid is just a complete random ensemble, really. But it seems like Techeetah and BMW Andretti are the 2 teams to beat in this championship, although last time out, Jerome D'Ambrosio in the Mahindra was able to pick up the win, and also he was able to pick up a podium in the first round as well. They have Pascal Wehrlein, who hopefully this weekend will be able to take place in his first Formula E race. Last time out, he was crashed out on the very first lap, so I'm hoping for his sake that he can do a really strong race and really push forward. But this is the order, or the finishing order, last time out. As I mentioned just a second ago, Jerome D'Ambrosio was able to take the win, but then it was the 2 Virgin cars. So after those 2 top teams, it seems to be Mahindra, Virgin, maybe Jaguar. And then I would probably put Nissan around that as well. Those sort of teams, those midfield 4 teams I just mentioned, I really think at any given weekend they could either be fighting at the front like the Virgin were, well, the Virgin cars were last time out, and then maybe, I suppose, like Nissan did last time, maybe going a little bit more into that midfield. However, I should be fair on Nissan. It was because of the first lap carnage that they got pushed back, because Buemi actually qualified in P3. So, like I say, any given weekend, this is a complete mess. But a team that really, for me, seem I suppose the strangest, I would say, isn't the Dragon Cars, isn't HWA or Neo. That I think they're the back 3 teams this season. But it's actually Audi who I think are in complete no man's land. Last time out, Lucas di Grassi, maybe if things had got his way, he might have been able to sneak onto the podium, but that was after he had a big smash into the back of Pascal Wehrlein on lap 1. Daniel Abt was nowhere, and when you think back to the first round of the season, they were also nowhere. Partner this with the fact that Virgin, this season, are an Audi customer team. So I always like to try and help you out if you're new to Formula E, but in Formula 1 terms, McLaren have Renault engines, and this year Virgin have Audi powertrains. So they're a factory team, Audi, but they're being beaten by their team that they supply in Virgin, and it's a really strange one. I really find it hard to really pinpoint Audi this year, because they've been so good in every season of Formula E. I don't even mean just compare it to last year where they got the team's championship. Every single season they've won a race. Lucas di Grassi is one of 2 drivers that's won a race every season. Him and Sam Bird, although both of them haven't quite managed to get off to the best start. Bird did get pole last race, but after damage on the first lap, really struggled during the race. And di Grassi, like I say, could have fluked a podium last time, but really, realistically, never really on the cards. A little bit like Jerome D'Ambrosio, I don't think straight line speed or outright pace he would have been able to win. But things in Formula E, you've always got to be there at the right place in the right time, and that's what di Grassi's always been brilliant at doing. Look at the very first race in Formula E. There was a crash on the very last corner of the very last lap, which meant di Grassi won the first ever race. And he's done that ever since. His championship win really was due to Sebastian Buemi missing some of the rounds, and Sebastian Buemi, well, having a bit of an awful end to the season, shall we say. And if you haven't seen much of that, I would definitely recommend heading over to Formula E's social media platforms and having a look at that stuff, because blimey, that was a big blow up in the face of Sebastian Buemi. But di Grassi's always been there, and he was one of my drivers that I thought, yeah, I think he can have a really good run at the championship this year. But I don't think anyone expected Audi to be so far behind. You know, last year they were the best team on the grid, I'd say comfortably. You know, they just won the team's championship, but that was mainly down to reliability. And when that car was fully working, we saw multiple wins from De Grassi, multiple wins from Daniel Abt, who, up to that point, Daniel Abt had had a really difficult time in Formula E. So, look, I think Audi will get better, and going off of last season, I think they can only get better. I think they'll keep, well, having an upwards trajectory, and I'd be very surprised if they didn't pick up a win later on in the year. But if they really want to put a big, well, I suppose, push on this year's championship, they're going to have to hurry up, aren't they? They really are, because we're 3 rounds in out of 12 rounds. I think it's 12, although I'm not too sure if that counts the double race in New York, but I'm pretty sure it's 12 rounds. I should know that. That's pretty poor of me, but like I say, some sites say 12. I'm pretty sure some say 13, but that's Formula E for you folks. But moving off of Audi a little bit, I think this weekend it's definitely going to solidify the pecking order. I really do believe that, because first round and second round were such polar opposites, you can't really compare them. And even, like I say, attack mode worked so badly in Saudi Arabia. In Marrakesh, worked really nicely. And I think was a really nice, I will call it a gimmick, because that is what it is, but it was a really nice gimmick to have, and it really alienated Fanboost, which I will remind you, you can vote for Fanboost on the right-hand side of your screen. I just put up a little Fanboost little thing there, if you are interested in voting for your favourite drivers. I just put up some drivers that I think would probably be the most interesting to give the Fanboost, such as Jean-Eric Vergne, which is on screen right now, and I think this is the man that really needs a big weekend. He knows he's got the best car on the grid. He knows that. Arguably, the BMWs on their day could have the edge, but I think going off the first 2 races, I think it's fair to say Techeetah do have the #1 car, and Vergne picking up a 2nd place in the first round of the championship, and then a 5th place last time out in Marrakesh. I think he will definitely want to push forward even more and get that win. And even in Marrakesh, he was last on the first lap. So getting all the way back up into a really strong points position, I'll take my hat off to him. It was a good race from him, and if it wasn't for that first lap incident, probably would have been driver of the day, if I'm being totally honest. His teammate Andre Lotterer as well, he started last after a dodgy qualifying. So, look, I'm expecting them to be on the pace, and as you can see, I have put in my predictions for this weekend for Santiago, Chile. Jean-Eric Vergne is my race winner. But looking at the other 2 positions, you can also guess I'm expecting another chaotic race in Formula E. I think you should never count out a chaotic race in Formula E. And we've got a brand new circuit. I did put up the layout a little bit earlier, so it was in this video. I think it was about 1 minute in. I will definitely link it in the description if you want to, at the end of this video, quickly jump back and have a look at it. But it looks like an interesting circuit. A little bit different to what we used to in Formula E. But I think it could be one that's going to present some naughty overtakes. I really do, and I think with attack mode as well, I think if drivers like Robin Frenz, who I've put in 3rd, I really struggle to say that one, but I think Pascal Wehrlein as well, I think drivers like that are going to be in that midfield fight could get a really big advantage from it. I really do think that, and as you can see, there's no BMWs on the podium again, and that was a brave call from me, I'm not going to lie, but something about them still, I think you can tell they're in their first year of being in a real championship fight. It reminds me of Ferrari in Formula 1 in 2017. They weren't quite ready, I suppose, logistically within the team. They didn't have that experience of being in a championship fight, and I think that really came through last time out in Marrakesh when both of them collided, if you want to call it that, made contact, and eventually Da Costa from the race lead ended up DNFing, and then Sims, who was 2nd at the time, they were having a 1-2, ended up 4th and didn't even get on the podium. So it's yeah, it's difficult times for BMW, and they can only pretty much go up from last race, but something about them, for me, I think they still need a little bit more time. I do believe that, and although at the beginning of the year I thought they were going to have the edge, I think looking at it now on paper, you'd be silly to go against the Techeetah cars. Yeah, I really do believe that. But, of course, I'd love to know your predictions. I really would. How wrong do you think I am? Probably you think I'm miles wrong, but that's cool with me. I always like to have a bit of fun with predictions, and I always go through your predictions and have a little chat. For the first day of a video is up. The race is on Saturday. I believe it is 7 o'clock UK time, so keep an eye out for that one. All the links to everything Formula E that you might need help with will be in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.